Oh, definitely. So, Druid versus Druid, Yogg versus Yogg. Do you want to play your Yogg first? I mean, you've got to play it if you've got it because your opponent may not have it. But if you both have Yogg, would you rather play it first? Or would you rather play it second?
If the game is to the point where you don't necessarily have to play Yogg, I'd rather be the guy yogging second just to clean up the stuff from the original Yogg. But we don't always live in perfect worlds in Hearthstone, right? Sometimes your decision is, well, I can either play Yogg or I play Power of the Wild for a 3-2 Panther, and that's my whole turn. Like, you just have to do it, right? The discrepancy in power is just so big. But yeah, ideal world, if we just had all the time in the world to sit around and chill, I would like to wait for my opponent to Yogg before I do.
And we have Druid versus Druid in the hand. They both Druided this really well for their opening hands, I think,
Both of these Druids Druid it specifically being the wild growth, so we are going to have a fair game here. The mana is they're going to operate on the same time zone, being Druid time here, so we'll see how it goes forward.
How do you feel about turn 1 Raven Idol in this situation?
I'm okay with it when you already have wild growth into Teacher, into etc. Like, your curve's pretty much locked up at this point. Like, you could not Raven Idol, and then on turn 4, or your 4 mana turn, Violet Teacher coin Raven Idol. But by Raven Idling, he can potentially pick up an Innovate, he can pick up a Power of the Wild, and then suddenly that gets him to a powerful Teacher turn even quicker. So I'm perfectly fine with it, honestly.
Turning that on its head, if your curve is locked up to, say, let's say turn 4 for sake of argument here, you're now Raven Idling and you don't hit the mana. Now you're guessing how the match is going to, or the game is going to look on turn 6, turn 7. Whereas if you cast it on turn 6 or 7, there's a Violet Teacher on the board, you get an extra 1/1, and you have more information about what you need to hit.
But what if you want to play Emperor on turn 6 or Ancient of War on turn 7? So there's just merit when you're playing a pretty tempo-focused matchup, which this is to a weird degree. Like, it's 2 combo decks facing off against each other, but the guy that has initiative on the board is very favored most of the time. When that's happening, you need to be pretty efficient with your mana where you can most of the time.
And this turn, I believe, is called Going Off.
That is. Where did you learn that phrase?
I don't know.
Neil?
Somebody mentioned it to me one day.
Okay.
And it's stuck. That guy. I don't think he was that good at Hearthstone, but it stuck really well.
Yeah, I've heard bad things about him. Innovate Wrath taking care of the 3/3, making a powerful board here. I would like to see him pause purely for the fact that his opponent is able to get himself to 6 mana with the wild growth that he's already cast, because no matter what he does now this turn, Swipe Hero Power answers it just the same. So there's no reason to go in any harder than he did.
And he uses that pause to effect, and basically his opponent has to use the whole turn to clear up the board. And Likeabawse now, if you can draw it into anything, we'll have the initiative back.
That'll do. We will take it. Yeah, man, I love this guy. I love people who are expressive on webcam. It makes the game so much more entertaining for me, because I am very much the same. I have a terrible poker face. I cannot keep my face straight while I'm playing this game. Whether I'm playing via webcam, whether my opponent's right in front of me, like, you'll be able to read me like a book.
Interesting that he chose not to Living Roots last turn, playing partially for this, so it's more damage he can do. Also, sort of playing around the second swipe, being very careful, knowing that his position is that he's got a great position, so why blow it?
Yeah, he's just seen a swipe, and he has a Drake on the board, which means that there's a decent chance his Drake sticks, and then his Living Roots is just great tempo the next turn.
Oh,
what? Wait, what? Did Likeabawse think that the spell damage doubled under fat? I think he might. I'm a little confused as to what's happened here. So he's had to innovate out the Living Roots and the Claw now. Like, it's worked out great for him because he drew the Innovate specifically. Yeah. But I'm a bit concerned about what his plan was otherwise.
So this was a live card game tournament. People would be checking his deck for marked cards right now. But yeah, it's worked out absolutely beautifully for him. And I think that the thumbs on the forehead are sort of saying, whoops. Think a little bit, like, just a bit of a pressure miscount there, I feel.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the danger when you are an excitable person, like Likeabawse obviously is. Like, definitely don't get too carried away, right? Make sure you keep your focus. I'm sure this is in his mind, the biggest game of Hearthstone he's ever played, and it looked like it was all going wonderfully for him there for a second, but he needs to make sure he's taking his moment just to stay focused and take his moment here to revel in the glory of this spell damage swipe that he has available to him right now.
Before he gets to revel in the glory of the turn 7 or 8 Yogg that may come in his face in a moment, and that would be pretty awkward.
Savage Roar picked up, which means this board, after it attacks this turn, is now threatening lethal on the following turn, if I've counted this correctly. How much does he push this turn? 7 goes in, meaning 15, and then next turn he has 6, plus 8, plus 1, which last time I checked was 15.
Right, that Wrath's going to... I mean, he was always going to be saved anyway by hero powers and stuff, but Cerasi is now going to incidentally save himself as well.
Yes, exactly. And any small token that he can take out of the board here is a very, very big deal for him, because of the threat of that Savage Roar coming through, and the time being taken to nourish here means that he might be forced to take too much damage, where his Yogg becomes a ticking time bomb. Right? If the lower you can put your opponent before they Yogg, the more dangerous it is for them, because any stray spell that hits them in their own face is suddenly game-ending for them.
I'm just scared Likeabawse is going to disconnect his mouse or something by the panic on his face. It's like, come on, you just want to play this 2-drop. Just don't kill my 1/1s. You want to play Living Roots right now.
Spectacular, says Likeabawse. And he generates roots on the board!
Wow!
You said, Neil, that he was always going to get out of range with a hero power. Cerasi disagrees. Chooses to gain 0 life that turn. My maths checks out. Likeabawse's maths checks out. That is, in fact, 15 damage. And I can't help. I'm getting carried away. I'm as excited as he is. Likeabawse has booked his spot number 8 at the Europe Summer Championship.
And I think he might be quite pleased.
I think I was quite pleased.
You were as pleased as him. And like you say, feel sorry for Cerasi, but just to see the energetic guys really going for it there. I mean, look at him. It's absolutely so much to him. And that's just getting to the finals.
Right.
You're going to have to see this guy live next month.
I don't think our set will be safe.
What's going to happen if he wins the whole thing?
Yeah,
I mean, those trophies are heavy, man.
But I've said before, my favourite moment of the Hearthstone Championship Tour as a whole throughout all seasons was AK Wonder's reaction when he qualified. You know, that moment where he just basically went Super Saiyan in his chair, and that reaction from Likeabawse comes pretty close.
That was absolutely awesome for him. Again, feel sorry for Cerasi. I don't like to sort of... He's had 2 shots at it and lost them both.
Yeah.
But yeah, fantastic to see somebody getting emotional, genuinely seem to have just made the breakthrough. You say he's somebody that we know is on the fringe already, and now he's going to be recognised for that.
Yep, so Likeabawse takes spot number 8 in the Europe Summer Championship, but the 7 men who will be joining him are Dr. Hippie and George C, both returning to a Europe Championship, which is just phenomenal stuff for them, right?
Yeah, given that if you just pick the people who've already qualified and put them against our choices, people who've already qualified are a better choice.
Yeah, and then alongside them, the newcomers Viper, Diz Demon, I Kill You, Twist, and Grey J, who have all impressed in their performances today as well. So it's looking like a pretty stacked tournament, something that I am hugely looking forward to, and I'm sure everyone's excited. I'm not sure anyone is quite as excited as Likeabawse is.